Hi, everybody, and welcome to Lesson 8, Conversation 4. This time, you go to meet your friend Bob, and Bob tries to hypnotize you. Ooh, you need to listen to everything I say. Ooh, you got me, Bob. You controlled my mind. So, welcome, everybody. Today, we're going to go over our homework for Conversation 4. Right? And this is with our fun, silly personality. And your friend Bob is having a little bit of fun with you too. So our situation is that, your stomach is not feeling very good. And you go to the doctor and the doctor says, these pills are laxative. Oh my gosh, what are you doing? And then you realize, hey, that means I'm okay. I just need to stop taking these weird pills. And so you say, laughter is the best medicine, so I don't need a doctor. I'll go find my friend and have some fun. And then Bob decides he's going to try to hypnotize you, control your mind. And he tries to teach you some proverbs, right? You learn some sayings. We learn that, what do we learn? An apple a day keeps the doctor away. So if you eat healthy, then you don't need to go see a doctor, right? An apple a day keeps the doctor away. This is a really common phrase. And then we also learned you are what you eat. The foods you put in your body, that's you. They become part of you. If you eat trash all the time, that's not good. You want to eat healthy things, and then you will become healthy. So Bob is trying to help you control your mind with hypnotism, but is it working? Well, maybe. We don't really know. You kind of black out for a minute, and suddenly you crave apples. Ooh, I really want to eat apples. So have you ever experienced hypnotism or seen a show where people are hypnotized? In America, these kinds of shows are pretty common. People will invite a hypnotist, the kind of person who does this. They'll invite that person to an event or a show and have some fun with it. Maybe let people get hypnotized. Some people think it's not real. Some people think it is real. I don't really know. It's never worked on me, but maybe it will work on you. Ooh. So we learned about adjective clauses in dialogue 3, right? We learned that we can use who, which, when, where, and that to describe certain words. And all of those words, you can just get rid of them and use an adjective clause without that connecting question word. Okay? And then we learned about anything, everything, and something, right? Some, any, and every, and how we can use adjective clauses to describe those too. Okay? And then we went on to learn about the word which. We can use the word which to describe a thing, but we can also use which to describe a whole sentence, which I think is interesting. Did you see what I did there? So you can use this word which in the word with it to describe a whole sentence, a whole idea, which is really useful. I did it again. Okay? And then we ended with our dialogue. So let's get started with our homework. We're on Lesson 8, Conversation 4, Section 2. Oh, before I say that, I posted in our group about this app I found out about called Cappuccino. Cappuccino is a cup of coffee. And the idea of this app is that people in our course, you guys and me, can join this little group and share little stories about our lives. And so we can use that to practice speaking and also just practice English in general. So I will try to leave some questions most days. I'll try my best to do it every day. And I would love it if you guys could join and try to record your voice, practice your speaking, and try your best. it might be something easy, like, what are you doing tonight? I'm going to see a movie. Or you could say, I might ask you, what did you have for lunch? You might say, oh, I ate a lunchbox with chicken inside. Could be simple, could be complicated. I just want you guys to try, give you more of a chance to practice, okay? So enough of that. You can check our group and look for the cappuccino post I made, okay? So let's get started with our homework. Our first sentence is, 我主演的电影上映了. Wow, amazing. You're a star. And so you can say, the movie I starred in came out. Okay? The movie I starred in came out. So we have our subject, and then the action is came out. What is our subject? The movie I starred in. This whole thing is what the sentence is about. So I also put in parentheses the long version of the sentence. So the movie which I starred in came out. So we have the movie, and we're describing the movie which I starred in. And then we can take away the word which and say the movie I starred in. Okay? Star is just a word meaning you are the number one actor or actress. You're the star. Okay? The movie I starred in came out. And so anytime something new, maybe a book or a movie or a song is released, you can say it came out. That's the most common thing in spoken English. Okay? So the first thing is describing the movie. The movie I starred in. Okay. Some of you wrote the movie I starred. And that's very close, but you do need the word in because you were in the movie I starred in. So sometimes these phrases will need a preposition. And it actually goes at the end of the phrase. The movie I starred in. Okay? If you flip it around to a full sentence, you could say, I starred in the movie. Okay? We need that word in because you're inside of that movie. Okay? And I add ed because it's past tense. The movie I starred in. So you need that ed. I saw someone write the movie I star or the movie I star in. You need ed, starred. And then I saw someone write the movie which I'm a lead actor. It's really good, close to really good. You just need the word in. Okay? Again, just like starred, we need in. And also make it past tense. So you could say the movie which I was a lead actor in came out. So we want to put it in past tense because you already did it. It's finished. And then you use the word in to mean you're in the movie. Okay? And then I use the word came out. But you could also say was released because it came out in the past. So was released. You can also say has come out. Came out and has come out are basically the same. Has come out is if I'm telling you some new news. Remember that? Present perfect tense, has come out, is if I'm telling you something new. So came out, has come out mean the same thing. Has come out makes it stronger that it's new news. Okay? And that's it for that one. So let's keep on moving. We're talking about the movie, and you think your friend wants to go. So you say, 我保留了靠近角落的位置给你们. So I saved seats near the corner for you. Or the full thing would be, I saved seats which are near the corner for you. Okay? So I saved seats. You could also use the word reserved. I reserved seats, meaning like you wrote it down and put a sticker on it saying reserved. Reserved is a little more formal. So you could say I saved it or I reserved them. Reserved is a little more formal. And that's totally fine. Okay? So I saved seats. Why do we have S? Because it's你们, more than one person, right? And but you should not add the word the. I saw a few people say the seat or the seats, but you don't know, the person you're talking to doesn't know exactly which seats you're talking about yet, so we don't use the. The suggests that the person you're talking to knows which you're talking about, okay? So we'd say, I saved seats near the corner for you, okay? So the corner means the corner of the room, and near the corner means close to it. Maybe not actually in the corner, so near the corner. If you're right in the very corner, you'd say in the corner, okay? So corner is here, maybe near the corner. Up here would be in the corner, okay? And then you could also say close to the corner, but not closing to the corner. It should be close to the corner, okay? I saved seats near the corner for you, which would be, I saved seats which are near the corner for you. But like we learned, you can remove the question word which and remove the to be word are. I saved seats which are near the corner becomes I saved seats near the corner, okay? And then I also saw someone use the word nook. Corner means the corner of a room, the corner of anything. Anything that's a rectangle has a corner. The word nook is like a corner, except nook is usually for a small, quiet, private place. So in a theater, there is no nook. A nook is like a small, quiet place in your house, okay? Maybe a little corner that you go read, and it's really quiet. So nook can be a small place, but it doesn't really work the same as corner. Corner is more general, okay? Next, our friend Bob. Bob 说他不喜欢看会让他哭的电影. Oh, poor Bob. He's so sensitive. Bob said he doesn't like movies making him cry. Okay, this is what we learned about, that you can describe the word movies using an adjective clause or take away the question words, right? Or the starting words. So the full thing would be, Bob said he doesn't like movies that make him cry. So we have the word movies, and we're describing the movies. Movies that make him cry. And then we can take away the word that, but then make will add ing. Movies making him cry. Okay? And so if you change it to ing, it means the same thing, but it kind of focuses on it happening, on the action. Okay? So Bob said he doesn't like movies making him cry. You're focused on what's happening with those movies. And then Bob said he doesn't like movies that make him cry. It's focusing more on what kind of movies. It's really the same thing, but slightly change in the focus, okay? One thing is, movies should be plural, because Bob doesn't like any movies making him cry. So movies, so we can be general. I did see a few people use the movie. He doesn't like the movie making him cry. But which movie are you talking about? We don't know. So don't use the unless someone knows what you're talking about, okay? And doesn't like movies making him cry. Making, we add ing, but cry, you don't need ing, okay? So making him cry, not making him crying, okay? Another way you could say this is, Bob said he doesn't like movies which make him cry. That's totally fine too. But like we said before, we can take away that word which and change it to making, okay? Now, what's the difference between that and which? most of the time they're exactly the same, right? One thing that sometimes happens is that if the sentence needs the information, you want to use that. So Bob said he doesn't like movies that make him cry. This that make him cry is very important for the sentence, right? The sentence needs that. If you use which, it would mean it's not as important for the sentence. So Bob said he doesn't like movies which make him cry. That's okay, but it suggests that this which make him cry is less important. So here that is a little bit better, but don't worry too much about that. Most of the time that and which are the same. Okay? Next up, 坐在第一排穿西装的是导演. So, sorry, not very smooth. The person sitting in the front row wearing a suit is the director. Okay, so now this is a pretty complicated sentence. The person sitting in the front row wearing a suit is the director. So we have two different phrases describing things. The person. Which person? Well, the person sitting in the front row. We're describing that person. Which person sitting in the front row? The person sitting in the front row wearing a suit. So wearing a suit describes the person sitting in the front row. And then we finish the sentence, is the director. Okay? So we can think of this, the long form, in two different ways. The person who is sitting in the front row wearing a suit is the director. Or you could say, the person sitting in the front row who is wearing a suit is the director. So we can take more than one adjective clause and link them together, okay? One other thing is, I said the person, but in casual conversation, people will probably say the guy. The guy sitting, blah, 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 okay? And so that's totally fine. So the person sitting in the front row wearing a suit, that would be using two adjective clauses over and over. But you could also change it a little bit and just say in a suit, which I saw someone use. The person sitting in the front row in a suit is the director. Or the person in a suit sitting in the front row is the director. So you could pull out those verbs if you want to, okay? But remember, we need wearing using ing. So the person sitting in the front row wearing a suit. And if you use a who phrase, you'd say, who is wearing a suit? And then we can take away the who is. So it should be who is wearing, not who wears a suit. Okay? So we're talking about right now, so we use ing. So let's keep on moving forward. Not too many notes on those. People did a good job. So let's move on to Lesson 8, Conversation 4, Part 3. Now here we're using adjective clauses again, which means we're describing things, right? But this time we're using words like something, anything, and everything. These are words that are nouns. They act like nouns, but we don't know exactly what we're talking about. If you just use the word something, you don't know exactly what I'm talking about. Or if I use anything, I'm not giving you much detail. But I can add an adjective clause to describe those words and make it more clear, make it easier to understand, okay? So if we have something that blah, 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 anything that blah, 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 we're taking something and telling more detail about it. We're taking anything, which could be anything in the world, but making it more focused, okay? So let's start with talking about Lucas. Oh, my friend Lucas, he can't handle much food. 卢卡斯无法吃任何辣的东西. So Lucas, he eats something spicy. He goes, oh! No, he's not that bad. Don't worry. So Lucas can't eat anything spicy. Okay. So Lucas can't eat anything. you don't want to say that. If you say Lucas can't eat anything, that means nothing in the world he can eat. So we have the word anything, which means anything in the world. I don't know what it is. This, that. But anything is too big, right? So we want to make it a little bit smaller. Lucas can't eat anything spicy. So spicy is describing anything. Now, what is the full sentence? You'd say, Lucas can't eat anything that is spicy. Okay? Lucas can't eat anything that is spicy. But you can take away that is, and then spicy describes anything. So maybe you have a friend who loves fried food, and you say, my friend loves to eat anything fried, which would mean anything that is fried. Okay? So here we have Lucas can't eat anything spicy. So even a little bit, he can't handle it. Okay? Now, here we have can't. I use the word can't, meaning he is unable to. He tries to, but he just can't. Okay? So this means he tries to eat something and, oh, I can't do it. So he can't eat anything spicy. I also saw some students use the word doesn't. Lucas doesn't eat anything spicy. Now, the meaning of doesn't is a little bit different. Doesn't mean, well, he doesn't. He never eats anything spicy. But that could be because he chooses not to. Maybe he can eat it, but he doesn't like to. So you'd say, oh, he doesn't eat anything spicy. But if you say he can't eat anything spicy, maybe spicy food makes him sick. He tries, oh, I want to eat it, but I can't. He can't do it. Okay? So doesn't means maybe you choose not to. Can't means, oh, there's no way. So can't is closer to 无法. It's impossible. Okay? So anything spicy would be short for anything that is spicy. I saw someone write anything tasted spicy. If you want to have taste in here, you could say Lucas can't eat anything that tastes spicy. That would be okay. And how do we shorten that? Lucas can't eat anything tasting spicy. Like, remember, you'd need that ing if we take away the that. But you don't need to do that. Keep it simple. Just anything spicy is good enough, okay? So next up we have 每个跟他一起吃过饭的女生都笑他. Oh, poor guy. He goes out to dinner and the girl says, oh, can we get like a little bit spicy? And he's like, oh, no, I can't. He cries. Poor guy. So you can say, every girl who has eaten with him has laughed at him. Okay. Every girl who has eaten with him has laughed at him. Okay? And here, who has can be shortened to whose. Every girl who's eaten with him has laughed at him. Now, here we use present perfect tense. Who has eaten with him to describe every girl. Now, why do we use present perfect tense? Because this is in his life or in their life. We can use present perfect tense to talk about an experience. So in someone's life or from the beginning of time up till now, okay? So many, many people have gone to dinner with him, and every girl who has eaten with him in his life has laughed at him, okay? So present perfect works well here. Here it's best to use the full adjective phrase starting with who. Every girl. Which girl? Which every girl? Every girl. We don't mean every girl in the world. We say every girl who has eaten with him. Here it's best to use the full who phrase because we're describing girl and the verb is in present perfect tense. So if we have a complicated verb, it's better just to use the whole phrase. If you try to take away who, it starts to get a little bit tricky. Okay? So let's keep the who word in there. Every girl who has eaten with him has laughed at him. So that's what happened. Okay? So I kept it simple and say every girl who has eaten with him. You could say who has eaten dinner with him or who has had meals with him, something like that. If you say dinner, you're being a little more specific, but if you want it general, you can say eaten with him. Okay? So you can use the word eat, and we know it's a meal, so you don't need to say the word meal. Okay? So, let's see. Next up is 杰西是唯一一个对他好的人. Oh, this girl's so nice. Everyone laughs at him, but Jessie is okay. Jessie is the only one nice to him. So Jessie is the only one nice to him. So Jessie is the only one. That's our core sentence, but we want to describe which one. Okay, the only one, which one? So the full phrase would be Jessie is the only one who is nice to him. So we use who is nice to him to tell you about the only one. And then we can take away who and the verb to be, take away who is. So Jessie is the only one nice to him. So nice to him is describing the only one. Okay? So Jessie can be written as Jessie in English. Jessie. Jessie can be a girl's name or it could be a boy's name. Jessie is one of those names that can go both ways. And I did see someone use Jessica. Jessica is a girl's name that sometimes people might shorten it to Jessie. And then Jessica can also be shortened more to just Jess. I have a friend named Jessica that everyone calls her Jess. Okay? But Jessie can be a name by itself. It's not always connected to Jessica. Okay? And then Jessie is the only one nice to him, or Jessie is the only one who is nice to him. Okay? A few of you use the phrase treating him well, and that's fine too. Jessie is the only one treating him well. Treating someone well is another way to say they're being nice to someone. So that's totally fine too. I also saw someone say, Jessie is the only one being nice to him. Using being is okay, it's correct. It's adding the ing to the verb, but it suggests that it's happening right now because it's ing, right? So anytime a verb has ing, it feels like it might be happening now. Now, let's go back to Lucas and how he feels. So, 卢卡斯希望那些没有同情心的人遭到报应. Oh, scary, right? So, Lucas hopes those without sympathy face justice in the end. Whew. Now, this is a hard sentence. This is a very formal sentence. So if this is difficult, don't worry about it. Lucas hopes those without sympathy face justice in the end. Okay? So here we have the word those. Those is short for those people or some people. Okay? We just mean those. It means those people who did something. Okay? Which are those? Which people? Well, those without sympathy. Sympathy is a feeling where you care about a person's feelings. Okay? So if someone is sad and I feel bad for them, I could show them sympathy. Okay? So if someone has sympathy, that's good. They care about your feelings. But someone without sympathy is not very nice. So Lucas says, Lucas hopes those without sympathy face justice in the end. Oh, geez. Okay. Now, this is short for Lucas hopes those who are without sympathy face justice in the end. So who are without sympathy describes those. And you can take away who are. Okay? So, this is a hard sentence, right? those without sympathy, they don't have it, okay? You could also say those who have no sympathy. That's totally fine too. And you could take without sympathy and turn it into a longer word and say those who are unsympathetic. So sympathetic is an adjective. You could say not sympathetic is unsympathetic. So good word, very hard word. Unsympathetic. So if someone doesn't care about other people's feelings, you could say, wow, that person is incredibly unsympathetic. Unsympathetic. Oof, that's a hard one, but good choice. Okay. So Lucas hopes those without sympathy, these people, face justice in the end. So this phrase, you could say it a few different ways. 遭到报应. I used face justice in the end because this is a phrase we saw in our lesson. In one of the dialogues in this lesson, we used face justice in that really formal sentence. Facing justice means, oh, you did something bad, and then justice will come back for you. Justice is like 正义. So you will face justice, meaning maybe someone does something bad, and maybe the police catch them, or they get, I don't know, something happens to them where they learn that doing bad things is not good, okay? So you could say face justice. You could also say face judgment. Judgment meaning like the world decides if you are good or bad, okay? I saw encounter revenge. And that's pretty good. Revenge is a good word here, but usually we talk about someone gets revenge, meaning like this person did something bad to this person, and then this person gets revenge on that bad guy, okay? Usually we use revenge against the bad guy. So think about that, okay? And then I saw get retribution. You could say face retribution. A bad guy will face retribution. Another hard word, retribution. Get retribution is like get revenge, okay? Whew. And then I saw getting their karma. Karma is this idea of like good versus bad. If you do bad things will happen to you. That's called karma. But we don't often use a verb with it. You'd say, that is bad karma or something like that. We don't often use get karma. And then I also saw someone use come home to roost, which is a phrase where you do something bad and then something bad happens to you. Something comes home to roost. And so that would be focusing on an action comes home to roost. But this is not a very common phrase. It's kind of it is an idiom, but people don't use this one very often. So usually that would be the bad decision comes home to roost, but not the people, okay? But good phrase to find, or good phrase to use. Okay, next up is conversation, all mixed up. Lesson 8, Conversation 4, Part 4, okay? This is where we are finished with our adjective clauses. We're not just describing words now, we're describing full sentences, whole ideas. And we can do that using the word which, okay? This is a really useful thing, which I think you should remember, okay? So you can use which to describe the whole sentence you said before, which is really useful. So, Timmy 主动说要帮忙做家事，我觉得很贴心。Wow, Jimmy, he's totally changed. This kid's usually a brat, but now suddenly he wants to help around the house. So, Timmy said he wants to help with chores, which I think is sweet. So notice where I paused. you pause before which, and you can pause after which. Timmy said he wants to help with chores, which I think is sweet. Okay? So you can pause before and after. Okay? So Timmy said he wants to help with chores. This is our idea. Wow, Timmy said that. I'm shocked. And here we have the word chores. Chores means little jobs around the house. What are some chores that you need to do at home? Well, you do the laundry, like wash your clothes. You do the dishes, wash bowls and plates. You dust the house, clean up the dust. You sweep the floor, right? There are lots of little chores. And if a kid says they want to help, that's great. Now, in Chinese, you use the phrase 主动. And you could describe 主动 as took the initiative. That's a good phrase. Timmy took the initiative and said he wants to help with chores. And then you could also use the phrase on his own or himself. Timmy said on his own he wants to help with chores. Or Timmy himself said he wants to help with chores. So you could use these kinds of words to describe 主动. But in English, we don't really need it. It's much more common in Chinese. In English, I would say just leave it out. Timmy said he wants to help with chores. So you could add a phrase to emphasize 主动, but we don't need it here because we know he's being active and he's saying that he wants to do it. We already have that feeling that he's walking up to his mom and dad saying, I want to help. So Timmy said he wants to help with chores. Okay. And here, I saw a few people write house chores, but you don't need the word house because chores are always in the house. We don't often use the word chores outside of the house. Okay. So you don't need the word house. Just say he wants to do chores. Okay. And then we have our second part. We have a comma and then the word which and a whole sentence which describes the first sentence. Timmy said he wants to help with chores, which I think is sweet. Now, remember this whole thing with using which is for spoken English. If you're writing this on a test, it might not be the best way to do it. There might be teachers who say, oh, these should be two separate sentences, no commas, right? So this is a very common thing in spoken English. If you're writing and you want perfect grammar for a test or something, you might want to change it around, okay? You might want to just keep it two sentences. Timmy said he wants to help with chores. I think that's sweet. That would be two sentences. But in spoken natural English, we use which to connect them, okay? And then here we have 贴心, a sticky heart. Oh, he's stuck in my heart. Oh, so romantic. No, we don't say that. You can say sweet. Sweet just means he's being really nice. He's being really kind, very thoughtful, okay? So here I use the word sweet. Oh, I think that's sweet, which I think is sweet, okay? You could also use the word thoughtful. Thoughtful is good, but because we have think and thoughtful together can sound a little bit funny. So you could say, which I think is thoughtful, but we have two th. It makes it a little tricky to say. So people might just say sweet instead. Sweet has more of a like loving feeling. Oh, Timmy, you're so nice. Okay. I did see someone use the word heartwarming. Which I think is heartwarming. Now, heartwarming, it's close to being right, but usually we use heartwarming about a story. Like if you watch a movie and you say, wow, that movie was heartwarming. It means it makes you feel good, make you feel good about life, about the world, okay? Heartwarming is usually for stories that make you feel better, okay? And then I saw someone use sweet, but said, which makes me feel sweet. Now, this is, well, not exactly right. So it doesn't make you feel sweet. Because if you feel sweet, that means you feel like you are nice, okay? If I feel sweet, that means I feel like I'm being nice to you. But we're talking about Timmy is sweet, or what he did is sweet. So Timmy said he wants to help with chores, which I think is sweet. This whole idea is sweet, okay? Next up is, now we get our shocking change. Timmy is being so nice. Wow, Timmy, you're great. And then Timmy's like, ugh, I finished doing everything. Pay up. Wow. How did this cute little kid become an old grumpy man? Oh, I'll do chores. Give me money. Oh, Timmy, Jesus Christ. So our sentence is, 他丢完垃圾后跟我要200块。我没有想到会这样。Wow, Timmy, what a jerk. So he asked me for $200 after taking out the trash, which I didn't expect. Oh, geez. Now, you can flip this around and put the timing at the beginning if you have a comma. You could say, after taking out the trash, he asked me for $200, which I didn't expect. That would be totally fine. That would be making the timing more important. So he asked me for $200 after taking out the trash, which I didn't expect. Wow. Timmy, come on, man. So he asked me for $200, okay? So remember, we need what he asked for. You need the word for in here. I did see a couple people say he asked $200. You don't ask $200, you ask for $200. So don't remember that. Don't forget that, right? You need to say what someone is asking for. Oh, I met a girl and I asked her for her phone number. Or the waiter asked me for my credit card. Or my friend asked me for help. Okay? Don't forget the word for. Okay? And then, when did he ask? He asked me for $200 after taking out the trash. Okay? So usually when we're talking about trash or garbage, you use the phrase taking out the trash, because the trash is in the house and you take it out. You take it out of the house, okay? Taking out the trash is usually what you use to describe that chore. A few of you use the phrase dumping. So he asked me for $200 after dumping the trash. Dumping is similar. You throw it in a place, but when it's trash in your house, we usually use taking out the trash. Dumping sounds like it's a lot of trash, maybe going into a truck or something like that. Okay? So it sounds even bigger. Maybe like at a factory, they're dumping the trash from the factory. So taking out the trash means in your house. And then the last part is analyzing it, evaluating it, telling how you feel, which I didn't expect. So I was surprised by it. I didn't expect it. Okay? And so use didn't because it is from before. I didn't expect what happened before. Okay? So don't use don't. Don't means right now or in general. I also saw someone say, which I didn't think about like that. So if you use the phrase think about, means you think about it. It's not that you're surprised by it, but thinking about something means you know about it and then you try to understand. Oh, I'm thinking about what to do tomorrow. Or if you say, oh, I didn't think about that, meaning like I didn't consider it. I didn't have that idea. Okay? So that's a little bit different. Using I didn't expect is better here. Okay, keep on going. We have 没有好处的事情我才不要做. Oh, Timmy says this to you, and oh no, Timmy, he's showing his true colors. He's not a nice boy. He's a jerk. I don't want to do anything without a reward. Okay? Or I don't want to do anything without a benefit. Or I don't want to do anything without a payoff. Wow. He's really focused on winning and getting something out of you. Okay? So we have, I don't want to do anything without a reward, benefit, or payoff. So 好处 in Chinese is usually thought of as benefit in English, right? But the word benefit is not super common. And in this situation where Timmy is doing a chore, he wants a reward or a payoff, okay? A reward means you do something and you get something from it. Here we mean money. And then payoff is the same thing. I do something, what do you get out? So payoff and reward can be used all the time. Benefit is correct, but it's a little bit more formal, okay? So I don't want to do anything without a reward. So he doesn't want to do anything, okay? And then I saw a few people use I'm not doing or I won't do anything. So I won't do anything without a reward is fine. It's a little bit stronger. Saying I will not, I will never do it. But if you say I don't want to, that's your feelings. It's a little bit less strong. Okay? And then if he says I'm not doing anything without a reward, that means if you tell him to do something, he's not doing it. Meaning like maybe in the near future. So that would be present continuous tense. I'm not doing anything without a reward would mean like soon. Okay? When we use present continuous with ing, it's talking about something happening soon. Okay? Next up is 这样很自私，因为你也有制造垃圾啊。So, which is selfish because you make trash too. So here is maybe Timmy's mother analyzing and giving her opinion, which is selfish because you make trash too. Okay? So, one person says something and you can respond with a sentence that starts with wish. They say it, you want to talk about how you feel about what they said. So, I don't want to do anything without a reward, which is selfish. So you're giving your opinion about what they said. Okay? If your friend says, I want to go on that roller coaster, you can say, which is dangerous because I heard it breaks often. Okay? Something like that. You're giving your feelings about what they just said. And then, which is selfish because you make trash too. Okay? So you make trash too. Keep it simple, spoken English. You could also use the word garbage. You make garbage too. Okay? And I use present simple tense because this happens again and again. It happens all the time. Hey, you make trash too. Everybody does, right? And so we can use make because it happens all the time. I did see someone say, you made the trash too. That would be past tense, meaning it's finished. That would mean the trash we're talking about. You made the trash too, meaning that trash back then, okay? I also saw, you make the trash. I saw someone say, you produce garbage too. That's totally fine. Produce is the same as make. Garbage is the same as trash. But it's a little bit more formal. So if it's a mom talking to her annoying son, would she say, you make trash too, or you produce garbage too? She would say, you make trash too. It's more common in spoken English. But produce garbage, totally fine. Okay? Next up is lesson 8. Conversation 4, part 5. Here we have our dialogue. Any of you who arrived late to our stream today, ooh, now it's time to hypnotize you. Stare at my watch. I'm controlling your mind now. So you go to see your friend Bob, and Bob tries to hypnotize you and teach you some sayings about health, right? An apple a day keeps the doctor away. You are what you eat. These are really common phrases about staying healthy. Eat healthy because you won't have to see the doctor as much. Eat healthy because you're putting it in your body. You become that stuff. If you put junk in you, you become junk. If you eat healthy, you become healthy, right? It's pretty normal. And then at the beginning, we had another phrase, which is laughter is the best medicine. This is another common phrase meaning, hey, being happy, having fun will make you feel better, right? Even if you're sick, go watch a movie and laugh and you'll feel a little bit better. Take your medicine, but laughing will help too, right? Okay, so first we have a sentence about a guy named Jack. 杰克是斜杠青年，意思是他非常多才多艺. Okay? Here, this is a phrase that is pretty tricky. I'm not sure how familiar with this idea you are in Chinese, let alone in English. 斜杠青年. So this is a phrase. In English, you could say slashy. Okay? Well, I'll tell you the full sentence first. Jack is a slashy, which means he's a jack of all trades. Okay? And the word slashy is what this is like the correct English for this phrase. But this is actually not super common. Day-to-day English, people might not know what a slashy is. So another way to say this is, Jack has multiple careers, which means he's multi-talented. So another way to say slashy is multiple careers. Now, slashy is a new word. This is slang. This is a new word that has come out in the past couple of years. So it's this idea. You can find it on websites talking about people with multiple careers, but maybe your friends in America might not know this right away. Why is it called a slashy? Well, the slash is a line like this. Maybe you're a waiter slash actor, meaning you have two jobs at the same time. Or you're a painter slash movie director. Or you're a banker slash online salesman. Maybe you have two different jobs, okay? So slash means you have a slash career, meaning more than one career. So the word slashy has started to slowly become popular, okay? So Jack is a slashy, a person who has this slash career, which means he's a jack of all trades. So here's the phrase, which. This is a really good thing. If you say Jack is a slashy, maybe someone will think this is tricky and not totally understand what you're talking about. And then you can use this which phrase to explain more. So Jack is a slashy, which means blah, 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 blah. You could use this for lots of different things. Like we were learning about traditional Chinese medicine a couple weeks ago, right? Cupping. They put a glass cup on you and it sucks on your skin. Now, if you talk about cupping to someone in America, they might not know what that is. So you could say, oh, I went to cupping today. And then you could use which to describe it. I went cupping today, which means they put cups on my body and it takes away the bad feelings or something like that. Okay? So you can use these which phrases to describe things. Okay? So Jack is a slashy, which means he's a jack of all trades. And jack of all trades is a really common phrase, meaning someone who's good at everything. A trade means a job. And so if he's a jack of all trades, means he's good at everything. Okay? Slash is popular among young people these days in Taiwan. So yeah, this idea, in Chinese, the phrase 斜杠青年 is pretty common in Taiwan, but the word slashy in English is not super common in America yet. But people understand the idea of having multiple careers. So other ways to describe multiple careers, you could say this person has a slash career, okay? Meaning something slash something, okay? But more common phrases in America, you could say someone has a side job. Someone has one job and they have a job on the side. Main job, side job. So I had a teacher in high school. He was a teacher, but his side job was he also was a waiter at night. So a teacher slash waiter. That was his side job. And then a very common phrase now is side hustle. Hustle, it means a small job. Maybe you have a career, your main job, you might have a side hustle. Oh, he works at a bank, but his side hustle is he sells clothes on eBay, okay? And another way to say side hustle is side gig. So, oh, she works as a whatever. She works as a teacher, but her side gig is painting. And she sells those paintings on the internet, okay? So in America, we might not know slashy as much as these other ideas. The big one is side hustle. That has been a phrase in the news all the time recently. Like, oh, I work here in the day, in the evening, I drive an Uber. Okay, that's a side hustle. So a simpler way to say this is Jack has multiple careers, which means he's multi-talented. Multiple careers, meaning more than one job. Multi-talented, more than one talent. He's good at many things, okay? So slashy is the word we're talking about. Now, a couple of you use the word slasher with ER. Be careful, this should be slashy, I-E. Slasher is, let's say you watch a scary movie and there's a person with a knife. Dun, 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 dun. Ah! That's a slasher. A slasher is a killer in a movie. So you might watch a slasher film. Slasher films were movies that were really popular maybe 15 years ago when there were all these movies where there was a bad guy wearing a mask with a knife and he would kill 10 college students. That's called a slasher film. Like there's a movie called Scream, a really popular slasher film. Maybe that's more than 15 years. Okay, we've talked enough about slashy. Don't say slasher. You sound like you might kill someone. Too scary. So a jack of all trades is someone who can do everything. Multi-talented is an adjective describing that kind of person. They can do many things. They have many talents. I also saw a few of you use the phrase, he is very versatile or versatile. Both are okay. Versatile, versatile. Two ways to say the same word. Versatile means you are flexible. You can change yourself and do many different things. That's a good word too. But easier word, multi-talented. The idiom we learned, jack of all trades. Okay? Next up is we're talking about Jack. What can he do? So Jack is multi-talented. He's an amazing guy. He's a pretty cool guy. And so 他会做平面设计、动画，还会拍电影。我觉得太不可思议了。Almost forgot my love. So Jack is amazing. And so I tell you what he can do. What talents does he have? Well, he can do graphic design. animation, and film, which I think is incredible. So he can do graphic design, animation, and film, which I think is incredible. Okay, so we have a little list, right? He can do. So we can say he can do to describe his skills. So this is his ability, okay? And after do, we can put nouns. So he can do graphic design, meaning designing art and pictures and maybe like flyers and brochures. He can do graphic design, animation, which means drawings that move, like it could be 3D animation, or it could be with cartoons, and film. Film meaning making movies, okay? So because we say he can do and say start listing nouns, we keep them all nouns. If we have a list, we want to keep things consistent. So if we start with nouns, we want to end with nouns. So he can do graphic design, animation, and film. All three of these are nouns, okay? You could use film as a verb. You could say he can do graphic design, animation, and filming. Using ing makes it into a gerund, which acts like a noun, right? So we want, either way we do it, we want these three things to match, all be nouns or noun forms, okay? And then the most important part is we're giving an opinion about that, which I think is incredible. So we have this whole idea, this list of things he can do, and then we tell you how you feel about it, which I think is incredible, or which I think is amazing, which I think is unbelievable, which I think is fantastic. Whatever. There are a million words to say really good, right? Just don't say really good. It's kind of boring, okay? And then I said he can do blah, 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 meaning he has these skills. You could also use is good at. He's good at graphic design, animation, and film. That's fine too. But we're talking about his skills, so keep it simple and say can do is okay. Okay? I have a question. Which, with a capital letter, I think is incredible. Is that okay? If you use a comma, we don't want a capital letter, right? He can do graphic design, animation, and film, comma, which I think is incredible. So we don't need a capital letter. If you change it to a period, then you would want a capital W. And remember, this is mostly for spoken English. If you write this, you could write it either way, but because it's spoken English, there are no hard rules when you're writing it. So if you see people on the internet using this, like if you're on Reddit talking to people or leaving comments, I think it would be more common for comma and then a small w because it's connected. But you could probably put a period with a big W. It's not a big deal because we're talking about taking spoken English and writing it down. I mean, we're kind of breaking grammar rules anyways, right? If you're taking a test, your teacher might say, oh, don't do this, but whatever. Screw those people. So spoken English is what you want to do. We're not focused so much on commas or periods in this particular situation. Then other question is, what about movie here instead of film? He can do graphic design, animation, and movies. You could use movies with an S because we're talking about movies in general. Film, if you use the word film, it's kind of this is complicated. Film is kind of like the industry, or the whole idea of film could be part of like making films and whatever. So you can just use film with no S. But movie is talking about the actual movie. And so here we want to add an S because we're talking about all movies or movies in general. So movies would be okay. Now, last but not least, 他是唯一一个让我敬佩的朋友. So he's the only friend I admire. Wow. This is maybe an extreme sentence. So you're saying that the other friends you have, you don't care so much about them. They're okay, but you don't admire them. So Jack, he's the only friend I admire. Yeah, Bob is okay, but I don't admire him. He's the only friend I admire, meaning, wow, he's amazing. Okay? So the full sentence would be, he's the only friend who I admire. But remember, we can take away the word who, keep it simple, and get it shorter. The only friend I admire. I admire is describing friend. Okay? So the only friend could also be written as the only one of my friends I admire. And that's totally fine. He's the only one of my friends I admire. And people might say things like that. The only one of blah, 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 blah. So that's something you will hear now and then. Like if I take my little figures, I hold up this guy. Oh, he's the only one of my figures which is green. So you could also say he's the only figure which is green. So same idea, but using one is focusing in on that one thing a little bit more. He's the only friend I admire. He's the only one of my friends I admire. Both are okay. Okay? And then I also saw someone use the word respect. Now, if you say he's the only friend I respect, the meaning is quite different. And that's way meaner to your other friends. You should respect all of your friends. Respecting someone is meaning you think they're a good person. You think they're okay. You care about them. If you say you don't respect someone, that means you think they are a bad person. You treat them like crap. You think they're stupid. And so if you don't respect people, that's pretty bad. So if you say, he's the only friend I respect, meaning I think he's good, I like him, my other friends are crap. So using respect is being mean to your other friends. So we want to say he's the only friend I admire. Admire means you really like him, you think he's amazing, you want to be like him. Maybe your other friends are still cool, but you admire Jack. If you say you only respect Jack, that means you like Jack, but the other people are crap. So be careful with the difference between admire and respect. So because the opposite is different. Admire means, wow, that person's great. Respect means like, okay, he's pretty good, I'll treat them well. I don't admire someone means, okay, they might be fine. But if you don't respect someone, that means that person's terrible. Okay? So be careful of the difference. The negative admire and respect are quite different. Okay? So I think that brings us to the end of our homework today. So this is the end of this for this week. And lesson 9 is ready to go. I'm not sure if it's up and posted yet, but it should be very soon. So you guys can get into lesson 9 starting this weekend. And sorry for any delays. I'm trying my best to get everything done. And thank you so much for your patience. I'm trying to get the best courses I can to you and the funniest, most enjoyable stories for you guys. And let me know what you think about the dialogues. I think they're entertaining, but I don't know about you. Maybe we have different feelings on what's funny. So, which is fine, but tell me what you think about each dialogue. Depending on how you guys feel about the dialogues, we could change the way they are maybe they're too silly, maybe they're too ridiculous, but maybe you really like it. I don't know. Give me some feedback, let me know. And then also, check out the Cappuccino app. If you haven't joined that little group, check our group for my little post about cappuccino, and hopefully we can share with each other. I think a fun part of a class is getting to know your classmates and hearing what your classmates say. If you make a mistake, that's a chance for you to learn. If you hear people make mistakes, it's a chance for you to go, oh, I know what they could have done better. So like, even if we all make mistakes in life, right? But that's a chance to get better. So more speaking practice is always good, right? So thanks everybody. And I'll stick around for a few minutes, send a message to Kyle Moai. I know it's pretty late for some of you, but if you have a few minutes, give me a call. I'd love to hear from you, chat for a few minutes, and help you practice your speaking. We can talk about your feelings about going to the doctor, and have you ever tried hypnotism? Or have you ever seen hypnotism before? So let's call it for tonight. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Good night, and see you in lesson 9.